right, guys, we're back at it again with Cinema Probe. Today we're going to go over, what is it, a bracket? I think that's what you
I think
pitched to me,
we're
a
doing
bracket?
something different this time. Recently, we've done top 5 movie drafts. We've done, singular movies, but I think we're going to do something different, and we're going to do a bracket
I was
this
going to say,
time.
you brought up, we said 90s action
90s
bracket.
action. Yeah, so what we did was we all put in a few movies, and then we got the critic scores and audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes and created seeds. There was only one tie we had to deal with, so I went to Metacritic.com for that tiebreaker.
All right, well, before we dive in to, the bracket, we got to introduce our guest today. We got good old Anthony Rios in the house.
What's going on, fellas?
Yeah, we're excited to have him on. I think, like I said in our last episode, Anthony knows way too much about 90s action
He
movies.
wanted to get in on the 80s, and we just couldn't match up schedules on the time. So, but we wanted him in on.
We did.
I was ready for it,
So we got 90s action. I think we all know and love 90s action.
I agree
90s
with that.
action is something that's just a classic. Really, really is its own thing. Not really comparable to modern day action films, and they're just produce a lot of classics.
It's true. All right, so hit us with the first pick. I think this was your number one seed.
So this is the number one seed. So like I said, we had 16 movies, created seeds, and we split them up into a left and a right bracket. So we got one versus
first,
8.
Before we go any further, name off the entire bracket.
Okay,
Let's hit the entire bracket.
We'll go on the left side. We got number 1, Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
Okay.
Number 2, Hunt for Red October. Number 3, Speed. Number 4, Point Break. Number 5, Total Recall. Number 6, Die Hard 2. Number 7, Demolition Man. Number 8, Armageddon. Then on the right side, we got number 1, Heat. Number 2, The Matrix. Number 3, The Rock. Number 4, Air Force One. Number 5, Independence Day. Number 6, Con Air. Number 7, Twister. And number 8, The Last Action Hero.
All right, so I can tell you I feel a little, shaded there. I know my Air Force One is kind of low on there.
It is. It wasn't me, though. That's just what the critics and the audience scores, said that's where it belongs. So.
All right. Well, what's your opinion, Rios?
For Air Force One?
Just, the movies in general that we have on the list.
We got classic movies that kind of hit all the right beats for like the 90s action. Last Action Hero. You gotta consider it like one of the greats out there, and that's pretty low on the list too.
Yeah,
but that's,
it is.
That's a Arnie staple.
It is.
I think one thing we can tell about the list is there's a lot of reoccurring actors.
There is a lot of reoccurring
Arnie,
actors.
Keanu Reeves, Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage. A lot of reoccurring actors on this list of movies, and I think a few of them are against their own movies. So we'll see who comes out on top. I'm excited to see who comes out on top. I don't know which way this tournament's going to go, but I'm excited to figure it out. It is March. It's the last day of March.
True.
But we're just in time for our March Madness bracket.
It's true. All right, so let's start it off with the first set of
our first game
here.
Right, so we got Terminator 2, Judgment Day versus Armageddon.
Ooh, I could already tell you what I think's moving on.
So can I. I think my vote for who's moving on is going to be Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
I also agree with Terminator 2.
And unfortunately, I'm going to lose that. And I love Armageddon to death. It's one of my favorites of all time, period.
Yeah.
But T2
okay.
is.
I thought for a second there
he was going to choose
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
You were going to choose Armageddon.
In a perfect world, I would love to choose Armageddon. However, you got to consider T2 is considered, number one of the greatest of the franchise.
Yeah.
And also one of the greatest sequels to have ever been made. It's kind of the standard.
It really is.
Because very rarely you see a sequel that's better than the first one. And Terminator 2 definitely did it right.
It built on the universe.
It did. Very much.
All right, so I think unanimously said T2's moving on.
Indeed, we did.
All right, cool. See you, Armageddon.
Well, so yeah, I'm upset with you too because I think there's a lot of games on this list or on this bracket that I can definitely tell one's going to be moving on, and I'm really upset because the one that's staying behind is one of my favorites. But Terminator 2, when it's paired up against Armageddon had a tough matchup right from the get-go.
It's true, they really did.
Really nothing you can do about it with the seeding.
All right, for our second set of games, we have The Hunt for Red October and Demolition Man.
Yeah. So Sylvester Stallone, right? Versus Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man. Gotta love it. They almost had Jean-Claude Van Damme play Wesley Snipes' character.
Yeah.
Which would have been awesome. And Jason Segel play Sly's character. But Hunt for Red October, Sean Connery. It's a Tom Clancy movie, Jack Ryan series, Alec Baldwin, Sam Neill. You just can't really beat the and it's Sean Connery.
It is. It's Sean Connery.
It's fucking James Bond. You can't beat that. It is. So,
I mean, my vote is automatically with The Hunt for Red October. I think that is one of the most iconic movies out there.
Yeah.
And I think out of those two movies, automatically Hunt for Red October.
What do you think, Anthony?
So, and that's where I have to disagree. I'm going to be the odd man out with this one. Demolition Man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to consider, yes, you got Sly, you got Wesley Snipes, but you also got Sandra Bullock. You also got, technically, Jack Black for all of 2 frames in the scene.
Yeah.
And, Dennis O'Leary?
Yeah.
Like, it's a rock star cast. Phenomenal, you got sci-fi action. And yes, Hunt for Red October, great action movie. It's a lot of high stakes, high suspense, but they're really not into action. Like, the way you see that Demolition Man is. Demolition Man, non-stop action from, the get-go.
Oh, another thing is Lori Petty, who plays the love interest in Point Break, another movie that's in our bracket, in our tournament. She was actually in the running for Sandra Bullock's character before Sandra Bullock got the job, but due to creative design differences, she turned down the role. But I guess I'm going to be a tiebreaker here. I'm going to go Hunt for Red October.
You think
I just can't.
I think it's funny. You think you get the tiebreaker.
Well, because, you had Hunt for Red October, you had Demolition Man. I kind of just gave the rundown for Hunt for Red October. I think it was kind of clear from the beginning what my pick was going to be, but I think Hunt for Red October definitely.
I think if anything, 2 versus 1.
I think it's 2 versus 1. Hunt for Red October moves on. It's just you can't really. I do think it's kind of funny. Like both of them kind of have their differences. Hunt for Red October is kind of funny how you have a Scottish man and an Australian man trying to be Russian. But one thing I really like about Hunt for Red October is it doesn't make you read subtitles for the Russian scenes. They're speaking Russian, but they're speaking English, speaking English for the English audience.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
so
we've got
they definitely did it right.
T2 over Armageddon. We've got Hunt for Red October over Demolition Man.
Yes.
Man, I'm 2 for 2 going down right now.
So for our next game, we got Speed versus Die Hard 2.
All right, Anthony, you start us off here.
Woo. All right. So I know for a fact I'm the one that pitched Die Hard 2.
Yeah.
It's a classic movie, follow up to what's considered one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time.
We'll get into
Die Hard
later.
2 also takes place around Christmas time.
It does. And instead of, a tower, we're in, the airport?
Yeah.
And we got Sam Jackson.
One thing I don't like about Die Hard 2 is that in the first Die Hard, between Hans Gruber and John McClane, you really have... They're talking over the walkie-talkies the entire time. You have that relationship between the villain and the hero the entire movie. I don't really think in Die Hard 2 you really hear the villain and the hero talk for a majority of the movie other than a few times, and it kind of just fizzles out. That's one thing I don't really like, and I mean we gotta bring up the fact that for when they brought it to TV and they dubbed it, it's one of the worst dubs in history.
Oh yeah,
let's be honest, it is.
Out.
And the voices don't even sound the same, So,
yeah, that was.
But I'm not gonna hold that against it. I'm gonna look at Die Hard 2 as it is, not the TV version. I'm gonna look at how it is, but Speed. Sandra Bullock, someone we've already brought up. Keanu Reeves right?
What a dream.
It's so what Speed does amazingly well is it's such a simple plot, but they make it so amazing. It's so simple. You got a bomb on the bus.
There's a bomb
right?
on the bus.
It goes over 55. It arms. You go below 55. It blows up. Such a simple concept, and they just make it amazing.
Not only that, it's one of the first of its kind to do something like that.
Yeah.
Small space, simple concept, but it drives it all the way to the ground, and it does it just right. A lot of movies try to emulate it, and they just don't hit it right.
They never hit it right on the nail. And
it's just one thing I like about Speed is it has a lot of continuity. Like you can definitely tell how one thing leads to the next. So just because I honestly think Speed, in my opinion, if I'm between the two, I'm gonna rather watch Speed. I'm gonna put Speed over Die Hard 2 for my pick on this game, but I'm not like I came up with this concept and I really hate it because I'm having to pick movies over movies I love so dearly. So, but I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and go Speed.
I agree with you. I lean more towards Speed. I think Die Hard 2 is an amazing movie, but Keanu Reeves automatically sells me. Anything that he's in,
he kind of steals the screen. You're kind of focused on him every time he's in a scene.
You love to see him. He's a good guy in real life.
You love to see that.
You got to support the guy.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that in our last episode with Adam Sandler buying the entire cast of grown-ups Maseratis. You love seeing an actor be a really good guy in real life, but that wasn't even what swayed my opinion towards Speed. It was just Speed is just such a good classic 90s action movie.
All right, so I think we can unanimously agree that Speed moves on.
Indeed.
All right, so going to the next one, we've got Point Break versus Total Recall.
This is a tough one for me. I got to be honest. We're starting to talk about it, and I've been thinking about it since the beginning of this podcast, and I still don't know what I'm going to pick. I don't.
So I already have my pick. Just looking at the bracket.
Okay.
Automatically Point Break.
Okay. What are you gonna? Let's hear your thoughts.
Let's hear Anthony's.
See, and for me, it's different because looking at the bracket, I already see twice. We have two guys already on here twice. We got Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
And we got Arnie.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. This is kind of his come up. 90s was his come up for action.
Sure. 100%.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, well known to be the king of 90s action.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you wonder, right? Do I want the come up, the kid bringing it to the scene for the first time ever? Do I want, Mr. Austria, the strongest man in the world? And on top of that, Total Recall is a gold standard for sci-fi action.
Yeah, true. You got Mars. The scene where he's the lady, and you hear that actress showing their best Arnie impression, and then the head's a bomb, and you catch this, and it's a bomb, and it's just one of, when you think of Arnie, you think of, man, he's got so many fucking one-liners, it's hard to choose my favorite. And Total Recall has one of my favorites, it's like, you can't kill me, after all, we're married. And then he blasts her away. Consider that divorce. You just can't beat that.
That Arnold impression.
On the other hand, thank you.
I think we should be voting on that.
I appreciate it. On the other hand, we got Keanu Reeves and someone we haven't mentioned, Patrick Swayze.
Good old Patrick Swayze.
Patrick Swayze. And this was kind of one of his introductions to action movies because he did Ghost and he did Dirty Dancing. And those are kind of movies where your girlfriend, your wife, your significant other, female, the girls in your family, they want to watch that movie, right? But it's also lovable for.
I mean, we've all watched
the guys.
With them.
We love those movies. So when they bring up those movies, you're like, fuck yeah, that's an awesome movie for movie night because I love that movie 100%. And this was kind of one of his big points in his career for action. And he did it well, and I really like it. I really like the surfer dudes that are robbing banks, and
right.
It was actually, I don't know if you guys know this, it was actually the very first version of the script. It wasn't surfer dudes. It was a bunch of skateboarders.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they went with
Yeah,
surfers.
I'm glad they went with surfers.
But Patrick Swayze also does all of his own stunts. He did something like 55 jumps for all the skydiving scenes. That's actually him. And the Adios Amigo when he jumps out of the plane. You know, that's another one. You just can't beat that. So it's a tough one for me, but I'm just gonna have to use the old 3-2-1 method and just 3-2-1 Point Break. I gotta go with Point Break.
All right, so I had Point Break.
Looks like it's a 2-1, baby.
You going with?
Now I could easily go Total Recall. But I'm picking Speed over it because, as far as 90s action, Arnie does it best. But Keanu Reeves with the come up, I love the whole concept of the surfer dudes and robbing the bank. I love the entire concept of this movie. And you got Gary Busey, you know, who probably has some mental disorders. It's the way he acts and the way he talks. But
yeah, he has actual brain damage.
Oh shit! Well, don't I feel like an asshole?
I feel like you just need to leave now.
Let's just.
No,
forget,
2023.
You know, rewind. You know, we'll edit that out. But
yeah, too bad this other movie didn't make it in here, Predator 2. But.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
I don't know. I'm looking at it. It might be in there.
But I'm gonna go Point Break for this one.
So Point Break. On to you, Anthony.
Total Recall dies with me. I will go down with the ship.
And I respect that 100%.
Well,
so right now we've gone over to the left side of the bracket.
Yep.
So we got Terminator 2 beat Armageddon. The Hunt for Red October beat Demolition Man.
Yep.
Speed beat Die Hard 2. And Point Break beat Total Recall.
All right.
I think that's a solid list going on to the second round.
Like I said, it's just
Fair.
there's so many good movies, but you just can't win them all, I guess, you know.
Well, moving on. We're
Moving
going
on to the right
side of the bracket.
Heat versus The Last Action Hero.
Heat was, I
Another
think,
Arnie movie.
your number one.
Heat was my number
this.
one going into it because originally we were going to do a movie draft again.
Yeah.
And Heat was number one on my list, but I came up with the idea of a bracket because in our last episode we had our guest Jason Orwell, who's actually operating the cameras for us behind the scenes
sitting in the corner.
And he kind of came in, but we kind of just had our own list. So I thought a tournament bracket
March
style
Madness
challenge,
is here, might as well.
I thought that it was an easier way to get the guest involved with the movie decisions and in the top movies. So Heat was my number one. I love that scene. It's one of the most iconic acting scenes when they're at the diner. Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, they're talking to each other, and there's just that mutual respect between characters. You know, you got the guy who's just trying to be the best he can as a cop, as a detective, and then you got the guy who's trying to be the best he can as a thief, you know, and as a heist put together, or if you want to call it that. But also you got Val Kilmer. You know, and there's so many, like, I wish we were doing a movie draft, honestly, at this exact moment so I could go more in depth with Heat. I mean, if Heat wins, I guess I can go more in depth with it, but it's just such a classic when it comes to the 90s action.
All right, what about you, Anthony? Where are you? I think Jordan's leaning a little more towards Heat over The Last Action Hero.
And that's totally fair. I mean, Heat was a great movie.
Yeah.
Is a great movie, and it's got an all-star cast.
Yeah.
However, again, and I said it last time, I'm going to say it again, the king of 90s action, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you got him doing Last Action Hero, and to me, has some of his best one-liners, has some of his goofiest moments, while at the same time still keeping up with that classic 90s, somewhat campy, but still serious action, despite the fact that he's sharing the screen sometimes with a cartoon character. And a little kid.
So the fact that it's campy and you know, just like that 90s action, kind of all the funnier moments of 90s action, is because when they wrote the script, they had all the characters that Arnie plays in mind, but they did not have Arnie playing that character until Arnie got his hands on the script and said, I want to play this fucking character.
Right.
And that's the whole way Arnie got put into this movie, and I think It's really awesome. Everyone kind of dreams of being in the movie sometimes when they're watching these movies, and this movie brings it to life.
Yeah, you got to experience it from that kid's point of view.
Yeah.
Because it's true. He's watching it, and he's living it now. And he's seeing, oh, this doesn't make sense. Yeah, of course all these kids, or all these girls in Blockbuster are beautiful. It's a movie.
What I like about The Last Action Hero is the kid is kind of the savior in some scenes because he's seen a lot of action movies and he loves action movies and he's in an action movie. And so Arnie at some points is like, how do you know this? How do you come up with such good plans? Because he's in an action movie, he realizes he's in an action movie, and so he knows what action movies do. And that's what I like about The Last Action Hero. But like Chris said, I'm going with Heat. Honestly.
All right, let me hear your.
I gotta go. Last Action Hero.
Ooh, so I'm the deciding factor this time. You
Yeah,
know, I'm a little butthurt that you had my Air Force One so low.
Don't make that be your deciding factor. Don't let that be your deciding factor.
I'm going to be fair. I think both movies are great. I love both Robert De Niro and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That being said, I think Last Action Hero is usually what I would lean towards. But because it's going up against Heat, I have to lean towards Heat.
I think of Last Action Hero going against any other movie, maybe minus Speed and Terminator 2, I would have picked it.
Yeah.
But since it's going against Heat, I gotta pick Heat.
Yeah. So I think we gotta move Heat on. I'm sorry, but while Last Action Hero is an amazing movie, I think Heat just
Fair is fair.
takes the next rung. So all right, Jordan, hit me with the next game.
Next game we got. This is a tough one for me because they were both my picks when we were doing the movie draft. Matrix versus Twister.
Oh, Jordan,
And before we move on, we need to do a disaster episode.
Yeah, agreed.
Disaster genre episode, so Twister can come back because
I
love
feel
Twister
like if
so
we
much.
did a disaster episode, Twister would be both of our number ones.
Oh, 100%.
I think Twister beyond for a disaster movie alone, it takes the cake. I think it set up every disaster movie following Twister.
Not only that, but it also had a very big sense of realism that not a lot of other disaster movies have.
Yeah.
Agreed. I mean, coming from Alabama, where you're raised around tornadoes, we watch Twister year round.
Yeah,
Twister. I still have Twister in VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Twister is a solid fucking movie. That being said,
it's
the
Matrix,
Matrix
up against a fucking powerhouse.
I mean,
let's be honest.
I would say 90% of the people, in the population, know Keanu Reeves because of the Matrix.
And let's be honest, if you've never, our viewers, if they've never, or listeners, if they've never seen any of these movies, chances are, of all these movies, they've seen Matrix.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
So,
easily.
it's just, I hate myself for saying it, but I gotta go Matrix over Twister, because Matrix is just so
iconic.
amazing.
It's
good.
iconic.
The
Iconic,
action.
trendsetter.
Yeah,
It really
oh
is.
my lord. It's such a trippy, like almost mind fuck, are we actually living in a fucking simulation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
We're still thinking
so.
that.
I mean, there is
Yeah, we
conspiracy
are.
theories that really believe it.
Yeah, like thinking oh, the simulation let us make this movie so that we think, oh, it's just a movie, but we're actually living in a simulation. We could dive into that all day, but Matrix takes the cake for me, 100%.
I don't even think there really is a discussion for this.
No.
I feel like Matrix in some lists could be a number one.
Yeah.
In this, hands down, I think it beats Twister.
When I was making the seeds, I thought Matrix was going to be number one. I'm going to be 100%. I thought Matrix was going to be number one, and I think it ended up being number two.
Yeah, you have it at
Total.
number two.
And that's an easy thing to believe. I mean, he did. He began to believe. Did he not?
Yeah, I guess.
He did.
Yeah, tying it into the movie, but
So I think we all can sit here unanimously again and say Matrix is moving on.
Oh yeah, that's a unfortunately against Twister. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, when I was making the bracket, I was so butthurt and heartbroken that Twister was up against Matrix because, damn.
Twister's a solid ass movie though. I mean,
yes, very solid.
We do a disaster movie bracket, it would win.
Here's the problem. You run into the problem with making a disaster movie bracket is most of your movies would be B-rated movies because there's
I'd put fucking Sharknado on my disaster movie list. Just
but
saying.
I'm saying most of the movies that are disaster movies are B-rated movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. You only have about maybe 4. You have San Andreas. You have obviously Twister, and then you have
the last what's the fuck
Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, Day After Tomorrow. And I mean, you could throw in.
You got that one with the tsunami and Tom Holland, like one of his first movies. I'm drawing a blank on the name.
I can't.
But
remember.
there's that one. But yeah, no, we'll definitely have to come back to disaster movies. But I think on this game, Matrix
Agreed.
moves on.
It's there.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on, we've got the next bracket. We've got The Rock versus Con Air.
2 Nick Cage movies up against each other.
Back to back.
Together, and both of them my favorites, so it hurts. This hurts me more than anything.
Dave Chappelle is also in
I got
Con
some
Air.
underneath the desk.
I might, especially once Trisha Yearwood's "How Do I Live" comes playing on air.
See, I thought you would have cried for, Armageddon, but now you're saying Con Air?
Oh no, 2 movies guaranteed to make me cry every time: Armageddon, Con Air.
I can agree with the Armageddon. I don't know about the Con Air, but I was talking to my dad about Con Air just on the way driving over here, and I was talking about what I really like about Con Air is just the script, the lines in this movie are just like funny, awesome for an action movie, and just the just that random like fucking hard electric guitar that you get every once in a while. I love that.
Classic Nick Cage wink. Come on.
With the long hair. He's got long hair in this movie. A lot of actors are elevated with long hair. Nick Cage is one of them for me, I'm going to say. And Brad Pitt is one of them.
Of course, Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt should be on everybody.
Who didn't have a poster of Brad Pitt on their wall from... I'm drawing a fucking blank.
I can honestly say I did not have...
Troy?
No.
Because
I can honestly say I did not have a poster of Brad Pitt on my wall. Most of the posters I had on my wall were of women.
Well, I'm talking about, teenage girls in the 90s and 80s, Brad Pitt was one of them.
He was the dreamboat.
He still is a dreamboat. I don't know what you're fucking
Actually,
talking about.
True. That dude is what? Dorian Gray is not aging. He's got a photo of himself somewhere that is old as hell.
100%.
I think we could do a movie list, just Brad Pitt movies. Legend of the Fall was the one I was talking about.
It's the same thing with Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
You could make a list solely out of Keanu Reeves.
I think we should do that for an upcoming episode is pick an actor and do their top. Like we can honestly just come together and make a top 10 list and talk about them. But
I think there are plenty of actors that we have.
But let's get back to the game. I think we got a little off topic. But
we did.
But Con Air, amazing movie, love it. I'm going to show you that God really does exist. Electric guitar plays. You got Dave Chappelle. You got John Malkovich.
All right, so again, let's bring it back.
Con Air. You got John Malkovich, and I think he plays a really good. He's like the leader of the cons. And you got Nick Cage, who's kind of like he is a con. He was in prison, but I'm gonna be the good guy in this movie. But The Rock, again, Sean Connery, fucking legend. And I love how The Rock kind of makes you feel sentimental almost for the villains, because what they're fighting for, the whole reason they're doing this is kind of like I want this money to pay the families. And what The Rock does differently than other movies is with a villain, they're kind of just bad all the way through.
Yeah.
With The Rock, the villain in this movie never actually wants to commit the crime. He never wants to kill anyone. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. So when it comes crunch time and they're not giving him the money, he's almost torn with his decision and what he has to do. And then you got all his Marines that are following him and helping him do this are saying like, no, like fucking do it. Let's fucking get it done. You know, Ed Harris is the name of the actor that plays the main villain, and he's very torn and he doesn't know what to do when it comes crunch time and the deadline isn't met in the time that he specified. So, but I'm gonna go The Rock all the way.
So
for this one,
I pitched Con Air.
You did.
And I love Con Air, and I'll watch it over and over again. I have watched it over and over again. But The Rock is probably, to me, one of the greater of the 90s action movies. I mean, like you said, Sean Connery, you got Nick Cage, Ed Harris, you got Michael Biehn. I mean,
Michael Biehn, Tombstone. I mean, come on, Johnny Ringo, let's go.
What?
And he plays the Navy SEAL in this one.
Tombstone, Terminator.
Yeah, he's the John Connor
action guy, you know. But on top of that, there was a lot of substance in The Rock, like you said, that a lot of other movies don't have. And it was that beginning of that time where you could start to sympathize and start to consider, oh, maybe the villain isn't such a villain. Maybe he's right.
Yeah.
You know, we have that a lot more, and we start to sympathize with villains a lot more. I mean, you look at the Avengers movies, and you kind of consider, all right, maybe Thanos wasn't completely wrong. Maybe the way he went about it was wrong, but that was the start of it. Like you said, up until then, a villain was a villain all the way through. They had nothing but purely bad intention, and you couldn't agree with them. Yeah. But he, like
The Rock takes a spin on that, and you just can't help but admire the film for that
and
take.
On top of that, you got high speed car chases through San Francisco.
Yeah. Which Michael Bay wasn't originally going to put that car chase scene in the movie, and then when they did test screenings for it, the audience was just kind of like bored with it, and he was like, "This car chase scene needs to be in the movie."
Yeah.
And Nick Cage, a lot of people bash on Nick Cage, but with this, he rewrote a lot of the lines for his character and how he wanted to play this character, and he did a very, very good job with it.
On top of that, you got to give him credit. He came up on his own. He actually got rid of his original name in order to stray away from, because he was actually Nicholas Coppola. In Fast Times at Ridgemont High, he is credited as Nicholas Coppola. He's the son, or he's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, he's the nephew.
He wanted to come up as an actor on his own, and he's got that vaudeville kind of talent. That's what he was trained on. But it speaks volumes to his development as a person and as an actual actor.
And when we talk about 90s, he is in a lot of very awesome Face Off. Gotta love that movie. But Chris, I'm curious what you think about these two.
So out of those two, I think both are solid ass movies. Either way, no matter what I vote, I think y'all both voted on The Rock.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with The Rock as well. I think Con Air, you get a little bit more of the comedic value with it, but I think The Rock's just a better movie.
I think The Rock's I completely agree with your comedic value with that 90s kind of silliness almost, but it's still action.
Yeah.
I think Con Air gives that to you in a lot of ways, but The Rock just as a whole, when you look at them as whole movies, The Rock just takes the cake 100%.
Agreed. All right, so moving on to the final bracket on the right, we've got Air Force One and Independence Day.
This is I've so far gone with the favorites, but I'm just kind of right off the bat, I'm coming out with it. I'm going with Independence Day.
Ooh.
I'm going with Independence Day. I love it. I love the Will Smith. Come on, first of all, Captain
Going against Harrison Ford though. Come on.
I understand. But Independence Day is just so just classic, and what this is all the trailer really said. Aliens are coming, we're going to fucking fight them. And just the fact that they're kind of like, "Hey, if you can fly a fucking jet, come to this fucking location so you can fly a jet to kill these fucking aliens with us and save the world." And this is our fucking Independence Day, one of the greatest fucking movie speeches ever when you think about it. But Air Force One, you got on the other hand, you got Harrison Ford playing the president.
I mean, I'd vote for him as my president.
And you got fucking, and it's like in all these president movies or like, you know, the president's in danger movies, you never really see the president as the action hero.
Yeah.
And Air Force One is really one of the only ones where you see the president become the action hero.
Sure.
And
I would say it
you're voting for
actually
him.
started off a lot of the president action movies.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, now you have probably every few months, maybe a year, you have a new president. You know, president's in danger, his Secret Service is coming into action. This one set it all off. He didn't even need his fucking secret agent.
And you got Gary Oldman playing the villain, who
Yeah.
he's just on screen. He's just scary.
Get off my fucking plane. All I'm saying.
He's just scary. It's just whatever he's whispering and he's scary. You
Yeah,
know,
look
he's
at
yelling
Gary
and then
for
he's calm and then
romance.
he's yelling again. He's scary. You know, he just plays the villain role so fucking well, and he's such an amazing actor. But I really love Independence Day.
All right, so
my personal feelings are getting in the way of this one, but I got to go Independence
So
Day.
I think we're on opposite sides of the aisle.
Air Force One.
So,
So we got Anthony,
It's gonna come down to Anthony.
the tiebreaker. What are you gonna go?
So this hurts
Insert
me.
drum roll
I
sound.
love Harrison Ford. However,
Oh, I need to leave already. I can know where this is going.
you gotta go Independence Day.
Oh man.
I mean, Independence Day is like that definitive movie everyone watches on Independence Day.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really have a day for Air Force One, but you do love it. You can watch it anytime. Independence Day, you got Will Smith, you got the iconic lines, Welcome to Earth. You got the, again, you got one of the most iconic speeches in film history. You know, and you got what? They killed they beat them with a virus.
Yeah.
Just a random computer virus.
And you know what? And it made sense.
Yeah.
It really did. I mean, the aliens don't know about computer viruses, so of course it would work. But there's just so much over the top action. Visual effects alone. The visual effects alone, blowing up all those buildings the way they did was just pure genius.
Yeah.
So I will say, if Independence Day was up against really almost any other movie that's below the 3 seed, I would pick Independence Day. But against Air Force One, you just gotta love it. But as you said earlier, fair is fair. Independence Day, moving on.
Okay.
All right, Jordan. We're done with the right side. Hit me with a recap. Let us know what's moving on.
On the right side, we had Heat beat Last Action Hero, Matrix beat Twister, tier. The Rock beat Con Air, and Independence Day beat Air Force One, which was our first upset.
Okay. Even though I'm still a little upset about Air Force One, but fair is fair.
All right, so we're on to round two.
Round two. Going back to the left side.
Going
we've
back
got
to the left side.
T2 versus Hunt for Red October.
Damn.
Ooh.
But
Starting off strong.
Of the Elite Eight, if you will, I think Terminator 2 of the Elite Eight games, I think Terminator 2 versus Hunt for Red October is a little bit of an easier one for me. I'm gonna have to go with Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
All right. Anthony?
I'm on the same page. I mean, T2 really it hits all the right beats. You got that 80s action. You got, I mean, what else can you say? It's Arnold Schwarzenegger at his finest. You got the greatest sequel of all time, or one of, at the very least. T2.
I also agreed. T2.
One, I just want to give a fun fact about T2 that I don't know if a lot of people know. I didn't really know it until recently. That scene where they're chasing him through like that, in Los Angeles they have those like rivers kind of things where he crashes that semi off the bridge down and he's chasing him. None of the camera director or none of the cameramen wanted to film that scene because they were so afraid of getting hit with rocks. James Cameron grabbed a camera himself and fucking started filming. And so that shot is filmed by James Cameron himself, and I just thought that was really cool because he wanted that shot so bad in his movie that he went down and he said, all right, bunch of pussies, I'm gonna fucking do it myself, you know.
You gotta respect the man.
And it's James Cameron, you know.
I mean,
so
and nowadays,
anything for the shot.
You think of James Cameron, and I mean that's
and he's going off with the Avatar series. So
all right, don't spoil it.
Yeah,
I haven't
no,
seen
we're
the
good.
new one yet. I
We're
just
good, we're
downloaded it.
yeah, but Terminator 2 moves on for me.
All right.
Hunt for Red October again, classic. If our listeners or viewers have not seen it, they definitely need to go see that movie. But
I mean we had that as a 2 seed.
Yeah, we did.
All right, so moving on, we're going Speed and Point Break.
Keanu versus Keanu.
just like we had Nick Cage
Keanu
versus Nick
Keanu.
Cage.
It hurts, and I think the only reason, look, I love Sandra Bullock. I really do. I mean, that is Miss Congeniality herself.
It is Miss Congeniality.
She's great. She was in Demolition Man. I mean, she nails every role she's in. She's America's sweetheart. That said, Point Break. You got Swayze, the man, the myth, the legend. I gotta go with Swayze. I love Keanu and I love Swayze, and you put them both together and you got a great action movie.
Yeah.
All right, Jordan, where are you at? Speed.
I'm torn because these movies are both equally good in my opinion. It's just a hard pick, but if I'm thinking about it, I think I love the way Speed did the 90s action. I love the way Speed did it better than Point Break. So with that reason alone, I'm gonna go Speed, but I could have gone either way with this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I could literally flip a coin.
Yeah.
On the 2.
And like if we flipped a coin on the 2, whatever moved on, I'd be totally fine with. But we're not gonna do that. We're gonna pick our movie, and Speed is the one for me.
It's really hard for me. Both are amazing movies. I put my hat a little bit more towards Point Break. But I, like you said, I could flip a coin right here, and I could easily go with Speed.
So you pick Point Break.
I'm going Point Break.
Okay, so we got Point Break and Speed. So it looks like Anthony is the deciding factor.
No,
Yep.
I think I was the one. I was 4 Point Break from the start.
Yep.
I gotta go for it.
Damn. Okay. All right.
Point
Looks
Break.
like I know what it feels like now. Okay, we're good.
Welcome to the pain.
Damn.
Welcome to the Heartbreak
Damn.
Hotel,
That's
baby.
hard. That's. I think we can all agree that's a really hard one though.
It is. I think this next set is going to be really hard too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Heat
Because the next one
versus
we've got
Matrix.
Heat versus Matrix.
And this is originally number 1 seed versus number 2
Yeah.
seed. Heat was number 1, Matrix was number 2. So this is a top dog game.
All right, Rio.
And-
Let's let Rio start it
You know,
off.
we haven't had you start one off.
Oh, you want me to
That
start
is
off?
true.
Let's
Yeah,
have
we
you
have
start
it.
one off.
Personally, I go with Matrix.
Okay.
I think while The Heat is an amazing movie, I think The Matrix is just more iconic.
I can agree with that. I think with 90s action movies, Heat is like top tier.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, not a lot of people have even seen it.
It's true.
So
And I think Matrix, you could pretty much go into a room and say, have you ever seen The Matrix? And
here's
90%
another
would
little
say
yeah,
yeah.
here's another little fun fact. I was only a month old, but The Matrix was the first movie I ever saw in theaters.
really? Wow.
I was only a month old. Yeah, I don't know why my parents took me to a movie when I was a month old.
I remember
but-
playing the Matrix video game
Oh yeah.
on the PS2.
I remember learning how to go into Note and type out those little things to create that fucking tech talk
Yeah.
to make the little numbers come down so it
Yeah.
looks like the Matrix. I remember learning how to do that and thinking this is fucking awesome. Like this is the fucking Matrix, and The Matrix is, like you said, just iconic, and there'd be surprising if a lot of our listeners or viewers haven't seen The Matrix. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them haven't seen The Heat, even though it is an amazing 90s action movie. And when you think about 90s action, it just kind of captures everything that 90s action calls for. Yeah. But I'm gonna go with The Heat. I have to.
All right, so we got Matrix, Heat. On to you.
I changed my mind. I'm going Matrix. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Matrix. Matrix. So it doesn't matter now, but we still want your opinion.
It doesn't matter, but I think, you got to consider it. So The Matrix, number one, while iconic, it also kind of set the standard for like cinema as we see it today. Mm-hmm. You know, there was a lot of new things that the Wachowskis did. You gotta love the Wachowskis. They brought us a lot, but they new filming techniques, you know, a lot of breakthroughs in using special effects and like CGI and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You got Keanu again. We talked about it before with Speed. We talked about it with Point Break. He was the come up kid.
Yeah.
This was his time to shine. Was in the 90s, and not only that, but he has carried himself very well all the way through until today. I mean, we got John Wick 4 just came out, and apparently it's amazing from what I've heard.
And you got Lawrence Fishburne in The Matrix too.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne, another icon.
Morpheus.
So, I'm gonna make an I guess it's not really early, but I'm gonna make a guess here. There's gonna be a Keanu Reeves movie that wins this.
It's a safe. That is a very.
I think it's pretty safe.
That's safe. I'll say that.
So,
but one thing I will say about you were talking about the Wachowskis is when people write 90s action movie scripts, they kind of just say this character fights this character, or there's a car chase scene with these three characters.
Right. And
and we actually talked about this the other day. Is the Wachowskis wrote, it's almost reading a book, their action scenes. You know, it's like they wrote down what they wanted each character to do in the action scenes, and that was different in 90s action scripts, and they really did it right, like you said, and that's why it's such an iconic movie, and it made 3 other movies.
And not only that, they didn't just make it for the sake of making a movie. They didn't make it for the sake of making an action movie. But they made it to kind of make a point and to kind of get people to think. And we did. We all thought, and we all talked about the conspiracy theories, but they legitimately had everyone in the cast, including cameramen, like whoever it was that was part of just filming the movie, had to read books on philosophy before even filming the movie.
Man.
They did it right with every single role was written perfectly, and I think I was going back and forth. I really love Heat, but when you said, all right, Anthony, let's see what you think. The thought crossed my mind, like, how can I pick something over The Matrix? Yeah. So that's why I changed my mind.
All right, so moving on to the last match on the right side, we've got The Rock versus Independence Day.
Like I said, we're at the point where we're just talking about amazing movies. We've already said they're amazing movies because they moved on, you know, and with The Rock, I think we go back to the point where we're talking about you kind of feel and you kind of understand where the villain's coming from. And I think The Rock does a lot of things well. The action scenes are amazing to see. Yeah. They're actiony, you know, and although in The Rock you don't see an alien ship blow up or the White House blow up, I think The Rock has to move on over Independence Day when you're talking about these two movies.
All right, what about you, Anthony?
I'm with it. The Rock is probably one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, it just hits everything that you want to see in a movie just right. You got substance, you got action, you got a little bit of romance. You know, his wife is there, or his future wife is there with his kid, or with his future kid. Yeah. Waiting to see him come back while he's going on, battling terrorists, prior Marines. Yeah. And he's just an FBI scientist.
Yeah, and you got Sean Connery, who is the only person to escape from Alcatraz, and that's why they bring him onto the job. And one thing I like about this movie is they talk about how Sean Connery's character was prior SAS, over in Europe, but when he escaped from Alcatraz, he kind of had a fling with someone in San Francisco, a lady in San Francisco, and so he has a daughter in San Francisco. So it's kind of personal for him as well.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you don't really, expect. And they brought that into the movie, and I really liked how they did that.
Yeah, the chemistry between Sean Connery and Nick Cage, just unbeatable.
It was amazing.
It was they just riffed off each other. They really kind of spoke to each other's character, and they built on each other.
Yeah.
And I think you really can't beat that. So as much as I love Independence Day, and Chris, I know we took out Air Force One for Independence Day.
We did. We did take out Air Force One.
But if we run it back and we put Air Force One over Independence Day, it's in my mind it's still losing to The Rock.
I agree. I do agree. I think The Rock takes this round.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So going into the final four.
Final four, we got Terminator 2, Point Break, Matrix, and The Rock. How are we ever going to finish this episode? I have no clue, but we're going to try our best.
Personally, we said T2, Point Break.
I know my pick, but let's go. Let's start with you.
I've got to go T2.
Okay.
I think Arnold over Point Break, you just got to go.
So like Anthony was saying earlier, you got Arnie, who's the hero of 90s action.
Yeah, I agree.
And then you got Keanu Reeves, who's the coming up. Like, he literally made a name for himself through his 90s action movies. But when you think about it, Arnie just knows how to do it because he's done it so well in so many movies. And
Some of the greatest screen presence that you've ever seen.
and it's like, let's be honest, for a guy that you can barely understand.
Hey, he was the governor
to do
of
it-
California at one point.
Governor.
To do it so well, like, you just, Terminator 2, 100%. And let's just talk about the effects for Terminator 2. So you guys know when they're shooting him with the shotgun, and he's a liquid aluminum alloy.
Yeah.
So like he's all like deformed when they're like fighting in that foundry and shit.
Yeah.
That was practical. That wasn't CGI.
Yeah.
That was practical effects. And so they really got creative with their practical effects, and they did it really well. And I really liked in the first movie, Arnie's the bad guy, and in the second movie, he's the good guy. And so when they go to rescue Sarah Connors, and she's super afraid when she first sees Arnie because
Yeah, she has that like PTSD almost, like as soon
Yeah.
as she sees him, thinking, "Oh, I'm still crazy."
yeah, and they just did it right 100% all the way around. And you got the fucking shotgun reload, like where he flips it around. Like, who hasn't tried to do that?
Yeah.
So it's just classic. You cannot pick T2.
So-
Point Break, it's a classic movie, but it can't beat T2 in my opinion.
So going in, we've already established T2 is moving on.
Oh yeah.
I still want to hear your opinion if you agree T2 should move on. But we have already established T2 is going into the championship.
Yep.
Indeed.
But do you agree? Do you think T2 is deserving of that?
Oh, absolutely. So you have to consider, we've gone all this way, right? And we talked about Point Break, right? When we talked about Point Break, we mentioned not just Keanu Reeves, but we talked about
Patrick Swayze.
Swayze, right?
Yeah.
The villain of the movie. We've been able to we've managed to go through T2, getting it to this point without even mentioning one of the most sinister villains in film history, the T-1000.
Yeah,
It's true.
that's true.
You have
It
to
is
consider
true.
that.
And you gotta
we
think
just
about-
did it off of Arnold's performance alone and the visual effects of James Cameron, like you pointed out. And yeah, we still haven't even talked about a villain, and it just nails it.
And not only that, but like to think, like, have you guys ever seen Wayne's World 2?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
when he's trying to get back to her, she's filming a music video, and he thinks she's gonna, or no, I'm sorry, it's the first Wayne's World, and he thinks his girlfriend's gonna cheat on her with Rob Lowe, and he makes a cameo. The T-1000 makes a cameo. Yeah. Have you seen this boy? And he just looks at the camera, the fourth wall break. And he just drives off. Like that. Just that alone just shows you that T2 is an iconic movie.
It is. All right, so going in to the right side, hit me. What were we looking at for this last match?
The conference championship for the right is going to be between The Matrix and The Rock.
Ooh, that's painful, but okay.
Worst decision I've ever had.
But I think
I need to go take a walk. Think about this for a minute.
Yeah, I think we all got to go skip a rock real quick and think about this.
Right.
But
stand barefoot on the beach for a moment.
I don't even want to go first. I don't even want to go. I want to go last. So right. Anthony, let's start with you.
Yeah, Anthony, you haven't gone first. Let's see your opinion. Who's going on?
So we're just gonna put this one on me, huh?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's fair enough. Look. Jesus Christ. We got Matrix. So, as a kid, watching The Matrix was the greatest thing ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was, what year did it come out? 99?
99.
Yeah. So I was, 4 years old?
I was a month old, so.
I had seen The Rock maybe once or twice later on in life, right? I was maybe in my teens when I watched The Rock, and I love it. I love it every second of it, and I'm glad I have seen it. But growing up, from the years that it came out till now, if it comes on AMC, which it does like every month for whatever reason,
yeah,
I don't care how many commercials there are. I am watching The Matrix all the way through.
It's true.
Yeah.
I love The Rock. I really
And now
do.
you can record, so you can just skip the commercials.
That's also true.
And it's on HBO. All 4 of the Matrix movies.
It's about everywhere. I mean, you can't not go anywhere and not
you have no excuse to not watch The Matrix.
So for me, you have one of the most definitive action movies with CGI that holds up to this day. I mean, come on, like Matrix 2 might have had a little bit of issues with them looking a little bit rubbery.
But you got the action scene with he's fighting all the Agent Smiths,
Smiths.
So.
But that's the other thing. You have a movie that gave way to an iconic franchise.
Yeah.
You have a villain that is truly sinister. You have an all-star cast. The Matrix, to me, it just wins. It's hard to beat it.
I've got to say, this is another movie that is a toss-up. I think, though, The Matrix moves on.
And I agree. The Matrix moves on, but I want to, what you just said, I love both movies. They are both 100%, 1,000% classic movies, both of them. But I don't think it's really a toss-up. I think The Matrix wins hands down now that I've thought about it. I think The Matrix wins hands down, but they are both classic movies. But when I say The Matrix wins hands down, I don't want our viewers and listeners to think that I'm just scrubbing off The Rock. But The Rock is classic. I love everything that they did with that movie. I love Nick Cage. I love Sean Connery. I love Ed Harris. I love every single person, every single casting choice, Michael Biehn. Every single casting choice that they made in that movie, they did correct. I think every action sequence was good, the gunfights. But like you said, The Matrix, trendsetter. And it gave way to a franchise, like you said. And Matrix definitely wins for me.
All right. I think we all can agree.
We're there.
We are going into the championship.
The championship round.
With T2
Lord.
versus The Matrix.
I'm honestly I feel stressed about this movie. I don't know why.
I just want to point out, we started with an Arnold movie. We're ending with an Arnold movie. Keanu was everywhere in the first round. He's sitting in the championship.
Yeah.
So
Arnie was everywhere in the first round too, but
I mean, we had Total Recall versus I think Point Break or Speed.
Yep.
Yeah, Point Break.
So we already had our matchup Arnie versus Keanu.
Yep.
With them, some of their not to say lower tier, but some of their not as successful movies. So seeing them again together, the Come Up Kid versus the King.
Yeah.
of 90s action and somewhat 80s action. It's a fair and good matchup to see. His best versus his best.
It's true. So I'll you know what? I'm gonna go on a limb here, and I'm gonna start us off, and I'm gonna go The Matrix as a winner.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, to this day, Keanu Reeves, The Matrix, they're phenomenal. There's not
True.
This movie really, I think, made Keanu.
Yeah.
And to this day, Keanu, while yes, it's a different movie, a different, you can name it, different genre, he's playing the same action character. And I think there's nothing more iconic than The Matrix. Now, I'm not downplaying Terminator. I think Terminator alone
Yeah.
is iconic as hell.
It has its place.
But
Yes.
I think Keanu and the Matrix takes the cake.
Yeah. Anthony, what do you think?
So, I'm torn. You know me.
Yeah.
I love Arnold Schwarzenegger more than anybody in the world. He is my hero when it comes to action. If we were talking 80s action, I'd talk about Commando all day.
All day.
However, like you said, Matrix. I mean, what do we say about it? We have great action movies, great action in it, fight scenes, the phenomenal choreographed fight scenes that we have had. You got the gun scene through the airport. You have you got the sci-fi elements, the philosophy. Like, it hits everything that you could ever want in a movie.
True.
Perfectly. It sets the tone. It sets a precedent for movies in the future, cinematic standards.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, what did I say last time? We didn't talk about the T-1000 last time. How often? What do we even say about Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith? We haven't even touched him.
And he's in, Lord of the Rings.
Lord
you know,
Elrond.
he's in so many iconic movies, and he's such an iconic actor. So is Keanu Reeves, and when we think about it, let's think about this as a franchise. From both of them are franchise movies.
Yep.
So let's think about it from a franchise standpoint. The Matrix 3, Matrix 3, but still, like, if you're watching The Matrix, you're going to watch all 4 of the fucking Matrix movies. But when you're thinking Terminator, the newer ones, are you really going to fucking include them? Like, yeah, I'm watching all the Terminator movies. I'm going to fucking watch them.
A couple
but
of
like,
them were good.
Yeah, but like, I'm just going to say it kind of dropped off the deep end. They did it right at the beginning, but it kind of dropped off. With The Matrix, they just recently, I want to say, what was it, 2022, 2021? 2022, it was Terminator, Matrix, Resurrections?
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that movie, and it just, I gotta say, The Matrix, from a franchise standpoint, The Matrix takes the cake. Personally, I want to say that, like, if I'm given the choice between the two of them, I really, really, really want Terminator 2 to be on top of the list.
I want to choose T2.
But I have to choose The Matrix.
Yeah, you got to go. You also have to consider where it led to. T2, while phenomenal, unfortunately, the franchise was mishandled. I don't know where that started. Kind of do. T3 was not the greatest.
Yeah.
However, no, Matrix really did. You had Matrix 1, Matrix 2 was phenomenal too.
Yeah.
You had Monica Bellucci. What a dream.
Yeah.
But also the third Matrix really did. It closed out the series really well. And then Resurrections was smart in the way they were able to kind of reboot the series.
It's true.
In a manner that still respected the original. And I
Yeah.
think that was what was brilliant about it. Terminator 2, phenomenal movie. Standalone movie, phenomenal. But as a franchise, it did take a dive. And while we did have the Sarah Connor Chronicles with Summer Glau, it just didn't stand the test of time.
I see
And I agree with
I
what
see
you're saying.
Orwell in the corner
Uh-oh.
throwing up his hands.
Do you want to come over?
I don't think he agrees.
Do you got something to
Let's
say?
see what we got to say here.
Is it the Matrix franchise versus the Terminator franchise, or is it T2 versus the Matrix? Stop talking about the franchises.
Okay.
And judge the movies. You guys.
Okay.
Judge the movies.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Fair point. And you know what? Even on that note, while I do love T2, and I can watch it over and over again, The Matrix is just an action movie I can watch endlessly.
And let's just think about let's just think about Terminator 2. You kind of know what is going on throughout the entire film. You know, it kind of starts off with what this story is going to be, or the story that's going to be told. It kind of starts off with, this is the direction we're going. The Matrix, right? We think about it. You don't really know who's going to come out on top, because Morpheus gets caught. And they're literally about to end his life when they're saying, "Hey, no." Keanu Reeves is like, "No, I have a feeling. We gotta. The Oracle told me this would happen, right?"
Yeah.
With T2, you kind of know who's gonna come out on top. You know
Terminator's
who's gonna win. But
watching that scene of Morpheus get tortured by the Smiths, is it just like gives you chills. And you just see him like fighting through it, knowing that, hey, Neo is gonna come and save me, and then watching him just
break out of those fucking
the handcuffs and jump into the helicopter.
That's just such an iconic scene.
So I'm gonna call it
The Matrix.
Final verdict. Hit me, Rios.
Gotta go The Matrix.
Jordan.
Matrix.
I also sit with The Matrix.
Yeah.
I feel like Orwell's not necessarily agreeing, but we're gonna crown The Matrix as the winner.
We are gonna crown The Matrix as the winner, and before we just end the episode, I just want to say all these movies 100%, 130% classics, and if you haven't seen any of these movies, you need to watch them because they are all amazing.
Have to.
But The Matrix definitely takes the cake.
I 100% agree, and like I said, I thought Keanu. There was too many Keanu movies on there to not have a Keanu
and Arnie movies. Let's just say it wasn't a surprise that it was Arnie versus Keanu in the end.
Well, Anthony, we're glad to have you on. Anytime you want to join, just let us know. We'll bring you in.
Absolutely.
Jordan, as always.
I'm always gonna be here.
It's always fun. We got
Orwell
Orwell over there behind the cameras. We appreciate you. Until next time, peace, guys.
Peace.